Hello, our lesson today is going to answer the question, what do the digits and letters mean when I read the Minnesota Science Standards? My name is Chantel Belling. I am the Pre-K-12 Science Curriculum Coordinator for Robbinsdale Area Schools. I have included my email address. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I am always willing to help you with anything you need. The organization of the standards and benchmarks, that's what we're going to talk about today. Our learning target is to understand how to read the 5-digit standard benchmark codes and to determine the connected ideas in the framework. We will walk through the information together through this video. Then I will ask you to go through some practice questions, and lastly, I would like you to complete a mastery check. You will need to score 8 out of 10 or higher to demonstrate proficiency and mastery of this content. An academic standard is a summary description of student learning in a required content area. And like I mentioned, we will be focusing on science today. There are a total of 13 standards that establish the overall goals from kindergarten through grade 12. They are based on the science and engineering practices of the framework book. There are 4 strands and 8 substrands within each standard. Each substrand is one of the science and engineering practices of the framework and has 1 or 2 standards. I have included an image to show you what the book looks like where all of this information is provided. I also included a link in the slideshow that will allow you to preview the book and order it if you are interested. Where there are 2 standards, the first standard represents the science aspect of the practice. The second standard represents an engineering aspect of the practice. Again, I just wanted to provide our learning target for you. Each benchmark has a 5-digit code. Strands, substrands, and standards use relevant portions of that code. Here's an example of a benchmark. I am going to walk through each part of the code and review what each of these items means. I'm going to start with the beginning portion. You can see it's highlighted in yellow, and we start with 5L for this one. The 5 is going to represent grade 5. The L stands for the life science component. The middle portion of the digital code, as you can see highlighted, is 1.2. So we're going to take a look at that middle portion and what does 1.2 mean? The 1 indicates the strand and the 2 indicates the substrand. These are the types of questions I will be asking you in your mastery check later. You can always go back and review again if needed. The third portion of the code is the 1.3. The 1 stands for standard, and the 3 indicates the benchmark. So that is how you read the 3 parts of the digital code. The benchmark statement will be written in plain text. If you see an asterisk, it indicates an engineering-related benchmark or standard. If you see 2 asterisks, it indicates that it's a computer science related benchmark. The framework has 3 dimensions. The first dimension, they use the letter P, and that stands for practice. The second dimension, they use CC, and that stands for cross-cutting concept. And lastly, CI, the third dimension, stands for core idea. I'm going to walk you through each of the dimensions so that you get a better understanding of what they mean. Practice, you will notice I am showing the first 4 portions or parts of the practice component: asking questions, developing and using models, planning and carrying out investigations, and analyzing and interpreting data. When you read a benchmark, you will notice it will include P for practice, and then it will also add a number for which part of practice that it is referring to. 5 is using mathematics and computational thinking. 6, constructing explanations. 7 is engaging in argument from evidence. And 8 is obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information. When you look at the second dimension, cross-cutting concept, you will notice that, again, there are portions of that cross-cutting concept idea that we want to look at. So if you see the number 1, it will represent patterns. 2 is cause and effect. 3 is scale, proportion, and quantity. 4, systems and system models. 5, energy and matter. 6, structure and function. And 7, stability and change. You wouldn't need to necessarily memorize all of these, but it is important to know if you see a number that it actually connects to information within the cross-cutting concept dimension. And the last dimension, CI, stands for core idea. There are 4 science concepts within the core idea dimension. The first one is physical science. PS stands for physical science. You will see that there will also be an additional number. 1, if you see a 1, it stands for matter and its interactions. 2 is motion and stability. 3 is energy. And then 4 is waves and their applications in technologies for information transfer. The second component is life science. LS stands for life science. If you see a number after that, 1 means from molecules to organisms, 2 is about ecosystems, and then 3 is heredity, inheritance and variation of traits. And then the last one will be biological evolution. The third science piece is Earth and Space Sciences. So if you see ESS, that stands for Earth and Space Sciences. And again, these are the types of questions that will show up on your mastery check. ESS 1 is Earth's place in the universe. ESS 2 is Earth's systems. And then 3 is Earth and human activity. The last component of core ideas, the fourth science piece, is engineering technology and the applications of science. 1 stands for engineering design, and 2 stands for links among engineering, technology, science, and society. I provided a visual circle here that you can look at, just giving another visual example for each of those 3 dimensions. The one on the left, you will see it has P and then a 3. This is something that you would see within the science benchmarks. Again, P stands for practice and 3 stands for planning and carrying out investigations. The second one up on the upper right, CC5, is another example of what you might see. Again, CC stands for cross-cutting concept, and then 5 stands for energy and matter. The last dimension, CI, stands for core idea. LS stands for life science, and then the 1 refers to molecules and organisms. I now am going to be ending my video. I'm going to ask that you walk through some practice questions that I have provided. It's recommended that you read the question, write or type the answer, and then compare your work to the correct answer on the following slide. You'll see a question. I will highlight the portion of the digital code that I'm asking you to look at. You will be asked to say or write down what do the letters and numbers actually mean. You can always refer back to this video if you need additional support. The link is here, and you're going to walk through the practice, and then it is a Google slideshow. So as you walk through your questions and your answers, at the very end on the last slide, you will see a link to a mastery check. The mastery check is a Google form, and the Google form should only take 5 to 10 minutes at most to complete. It is 10 questions. I do ask for your name and your school that you're currently working in, and then you will complete and answer 10 questions. If you score 8 out of 10, that is considered proficient and you have succeeded through this mini lesson. If you score 7 or lower, I would ask you to rewatch the video, go through the practice questions, and then submit the Google form for a second time. Thank you very much for your time and going through this lesson. If you have any questions, you can always contact me at Chantel_Belling@ardale.org. Good luck!